Hello everyone. Has everyone joined? Good morning, all of you. Hello. Yeah, has all of your classmates joined? How many students? I think 12, I guess. 12, 13. Yes. 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 Yeah, very good morning. Good afternoon, all of you. Myself, myself Ratish, and yeah, very good afternoon. I'm pursuing my MA degree from Vijaya Teachers College. So let us start the class. So I will start with a video. You will have to observe it carefully, and after that, I will be asking some of the questions you have to answer. Is it fine? Hello? Can you hear me? Yes. So I'm going to play one video. See that you all carefully observe it. Okay. Yes. What did have you all observed the video? Hello? Yeah. So according to video, what you actually came to know from the video? What did you came to know? As Rakshita, you can tell. Rakshita is okay. Little healthy food. Okay. So the video also spoke about some of the junk food. Yeah. Okay. So why we need to avoid the junk food? Someone else? As someone else can answer. Yeah, yeah. Since it's not hygienic, so if something happens, then yeah, let me give you one situation. See, there are two person. One is Raju, another one is Shamu. Let us say. So Raju, the Raju, he's eating very healthy food. He's taking healthy diet. He boils the milk and drink, or he takes egg, mostly vitamin A, B, C, D, all kinds of healthy diet in his nutrition. But there is one more person called as Shamu who eats all junk food like bel puri, pani puri, and all from outside. So whose immune system do you think will be more adaptive towards the environmental change? Yes, Kavyashree. Yes. So yeah, so what do you think? Which is more good, having a junk food or having a healthy diet? Yeah, see, that is also there, but everything, see, each and every human system is different. So if a person, you may not know that if you eat from outside, that your immune system will be adaptive to the other pathogens which are outside. They will get adaptive to your immune system. It's not with everyone, because each and every human system is different. Each and every cell is different. So it takes time. So it's always better as a safety precaution to better to have healthy diet. So you will be safe after that. Because the pathogens are all around us. If it wants to adapt, it will adapt somehow. But it's not that for everyone the immune system will be adaptive towards the change. If you eat from outside, your immune system may adapt, but not for everyone. So seeing from the precautionary measures, it's always best to have healthy diet. So any doubts you have regarding this? Anything you want to ask or clarify or share your idea? So we'll move to next concept. So I will be sharing the PPT slide. Okay. Since you all have told me can you hear me? Yeah, you can unmute. Yeah, unmute your audio. So you have spoken about see, suppose if after eating a junk food a person is getting some diarrhea problem. So who is the responsible, do you think? Which is the agent who is responsible for this diarrhea or seeking illness or something like that? Yes, can you answer me? Is my question clear? Hello? Yeah, microorganisms are responsible for everything, so for causing. So what do you think? There are always the microorganisms are harmful, or there are some good microorganisms too? According to you, what it is? Okay. So there are good microorganisms as well as bad microorganisms. So what are microorganisms according to you? What is a microorganism? Nothing but microbe. What is microbe according to you? According to the definition. Puja, you can tell me. Puja is here. Pooja, or someone else can answer what is microbe. Okay. Some other definition. Is it, Pooja, can you tell me what is microbe is unicellular or multicellular? Yeah, are all microbes are unicellular? Okay. So why do you think so fungi and fungi is called as multicellular organism? So it is multicellular. Okay. Yeah, it can be visible to naked eyes, but is that the only definition you will say for multicellular? Yeah, more than one cell. So the organisms are mostly divided into prokaryotes and eukaryotes. I hope you know that. Is it? So what do you mean by prokaryotes? Yeah, it has nucleus. It has nucleus or it doesn't have nucleus. Prokaryotes. Yeah. Someone else can help us. Yeah, someone else can tell me what are prokaryotes. Yeah, prokaryotes have nucleus or not? That is my question. What are eukaryotes? Okay, then what are eukaryotes? What are eukaryotes? Yeah. So mostly, let me tell you, the prokaryotes are unicellular. You can consider all the organisms which is having that prokaryotic cell is unicellular. Do you agree with me? Do you agree with me? I am saying that all prokaryotic organisms are unicellular. Do you agree with me? Yes or no? Yeah. And when I speak about eukaryotic, I say that all eukaryotic organisms are multicellular. Do you agree with me? Why do you agree? All eukaryotic organisms are multicellular? Yeah, in eukaryotic there are unicellular as well as multicellular. Yeah, now you can't say that fungi, so all the species of fungi is all multicellular. Some species are unicellular too. Yeah, yeah, I said that, ma'am. Yeah, no, because yeah, I will cross check, ma'am. But according to my reading, yeah, yeah, ma'am. Yeah, yeah, yeah. What I mean to say is in you, yeah. Okay, okay, I will cross check, ma'am. Yeah. See, like eukaryotic organism, few are unicellular and multicellular too. So we say, so what are the different cell organelles can you name present in eukaryotic cell? Do you have any idea the different cell organelles present? Yes, are you all listening to me? Yeah. Tell me at least one, two, three, anything. Okay. Complex, ribosomes. Okay. Yeah. So this so all these organelles are present in the multicellular organisms. Now, why I said prokaryotes as unicellular, because say the most of the prokaryotic organisms are listed in the, which is the lower hierarchy of RH Whittaker five kingdom classification. So when I say unicellular organisms, a bacteria. So bacteria, when I say the bacteria, can you tell me bacteria comes under which kingdom of classification? Yes, Monera. So that is the first classification, Monera. It comes, all the bacteria come under classification of the Monera, whereas fungi and all the fungi which are either multicellular or unicellular comes under eukaryote. So the classification, reason I said unicellular, because all bacteria under that classification was considered as unicellular. So according to the classification, so I told prokaryotic organisms are mostly unicellular. Okay. So these are the definitions, the differentiating characteristics we have already told: no nucleus, presence of nucleus, and absence of all these cell organelles which are seen in prokaryotic, whereas presence of these organelles are seen in eukaryotic cell. So example, E. coli, which is nothing but bacteria, and eukaryotic cells, which can be either unicellular or multicellular. I have given some of the examples here: fungi, protists, and all. Yeah, can you identify these organisms? Uh, So identify the type of cell here. Is it unicellular or multicellular? Right? It's an unicellular organism. Very good. So this is amoeba, correct answer. So according to the definition of microbes, it was given by American microbiologist Carl Boyce. So microorganisms include all unicellular organisms and so are extremely diverse. So the unit which I will be taking is the unit 1, the world of microbes. So in that we shall be discussing about the other topics. Now let us say, as you all have told me already, there are useful and harmful microbes also. So let us play one more video. Kindly observe it. Let's see that you observe video carefully.
capsula lies outside the cell envelope of bacteria. Outer membrane protects against harsh environments. Periplasm and cell wall, specialized region of great importance. Cytoplasmic inner membrane contains proteins of a nuclear. Bacteria are the simplest of creatures that are considered alive. Bacteria are found everywhere. Oh, they are in the bread you eat, the soil that plants grow in, and they live even inside of you. Are you trying to look at the bacteria? It can be seen only with a microscope. Do you know how it looks? Very tiny. Very, very. See, here are some pictures of bacteria. They come in all sorts of shapes, including rods, spirals, spheres. Bacteria are single-celled microorganisms. Their cell structure is so unique, they do not have a nucleus. Some people think that bacteria are dangerous. Most bacteria aren't dangerous at all. But some are, and can make us sick. These bacteria are called pathogens. Pathogens can cause and spread diseases in animals and plants. Some examples of pathogens are leprosy, food poisoning, pneumonia, tetanus, and typhoid fever. Nowadays, we have antibiotics we can take which help to fight against the bad pathogens. We also have antiseptics to help us keep wounds clean of bacteria, and antibiotic soap we use to wash to help keep off bad pathogens. This is why we should wash our hands again and again. Most of bacteria are very helpful to us. They play an important role in the planet's ecosystem, as well as in human survival. Bacteria work hard in the soil for us. One type of bacteria, called decomposers, breaks down material from dead plants and animals. One more type of bacteria in the soil is rhizobium. It helps to fertilize the soil with nitrogen for plants to use when growing. Do you like to eat yogurt? Well, bacteria is used when making foods like yogurt, cheese, pickles, and soy sauce. So they are our friends. There are many good bacteria in our bodies. They help us digest and break down the foods we eat. Can you show the bacteria diagram to your friends? Parts of the bacteria cell. Capsula lies outside the cell envelope of bacteria. Outer membrane protects against harsh environments. Periplasm and cell wall, specialized region of great importance. Cytoplasmic inner membrane contains proteins of a nuclear. Cytoplasm, gel-like matrix composed of water, enzymes, nutrients, waste, and gases. Ribosomes serve as a site of mRNA translation and protein synthesis. Reserve food supply, energy reserves, and readily available substrates for metabolic. Chromosome, molecule of circular DNA. Lisosomes form in bacterial cells prepared for electron microscopy by chemical fixation. You can copy and paste this chart in your room so that you can always remember this. Hope this topic is clear now.
Yes, did you all observe the video? Yeah, in the earlier characteristics I had mentioned here, there is a mistake. No nucleus I had mentioned. Actually, it is no nuclear membrane. Okay. Because in unit nucleus, the predominant nucleus will be present. Yeah. So in the video, you had you have observed about different micro, they have discussed about the bacterial cell structure as well as the different good as well as bad kind of microbes. So according to you, can you list some or any microbes that you know which are useful or beneficial and which are harmful? Yes. Yes, can you? Yeah, yeah. Your voice is not clear. Can you repeat it? Yeah. So is it a good bacteria or bad bacteria? Rhizobia. Yeah, which helps in nitrification. Okay. So any one harmful bacteria which you can name? Any one harmful bacteria which can you can name? E. coli. It is present where? In case you are infected with E. coli, in which part of the human body? Yeah, in the intestine. Yes. Okay. So okay. Now useful microbes and harmful microbes. So as you have said, rhizobium, which helps. Where do you think is the rhizobium present? Where? In root nodules. Yes, very. Okay. So decomposes dead remains and waste products is one of the characteristics of useful microbes. Followed by in food, yogurt, cheese, and all the good the lactobacillus species are used in huge amount. As well as industries, the preparation of ethyl alcohol also good microbes are used. In medicines, vaccines, antibiotics, and other vitamins, the good microbes are used. So coming to harmful microbes are nothing but pathogens which are present in can cause disease in humans, animals, and plants. And it is the carrier of a disease. It can present in any living cell. It can carry virus also, as virus is also present in the living cell. Yeah, so these are some of the important characteristics of useful and harmful microbes. So, this is purifying bacteria. Acetobacter is the name of the bacteria. Use amino acids or urea as an energy source to decompose the dead organisms. So rhizobium don't actually decompose, it also just fix the nitrogen and then it converts nitrogen into nitrite. Sorry, it converts nitrogen into nitrate, the rhizobium, which is present in root nodules. It converts the atmospheric nitrogen into nitrates. But here in purifying bacteria, which is also a the Acetobacter use amino acids as an energy resource to decompose the dead organisms. So the name of the bacteria is Acetobacter. In the process, they produce ammonium ions. Nitrifying bacteria then convert this ammonium into nitrate, which can then be used by plants to create their other proteins and to maintain the nitrogen cycle. So the name of the purifying bacteria is Acetobacter. Then there are nitrosomonas. We have Nitrobacter and Nitrococcus. So these bacteria gets their energy by the oxidation of inorganic nitrogen compounds. Can you tell me what do you mean by inorganic nitrogen compounds? Yes, any one of you? Shobha, can you tell me? Shobha? Yes. Yeah. What do you mean by inorganic nitrogen compounds? Yeah, compound which contain. Yeah, very good. Yeah, yeah. Inorganic nitrogen compounds are which do not contain carbon group, whereas organic is present in a large amount in amino acids, proteins with a carbon group. So they are called as organic compounds. So these what this Nitrosomonas, Nitrobacter, Nitrococcus does is it helps in conversion. As I've told, rhizobium, the role of rhizobium is just to convert the atmospheric nitrogen into nitrates. Then the other bacteria which has the role of converting those nitrates into other further soluble units, that is nitrites. And the process of this conversion of nitrates into nitrites by this group of bacteria, as I mentioned, Nitrosomonas, Nitrobacter, the process is called as nitrification. What the process is called as nitrification. Understood? Is this clear? Any doubts here? Then we shall move to next concept. Okay. So these are in organic nitrogen, as nitrogen gas, nitrate, nitrates, and ammonium all are in organic nitrogen. Whereas organic nitrogen occurs in many forms like amino acids, proteins, nucleic acid, nucleotides, urea, etc. Coming to the gram-positive bacteria and gram-negative bacteria. You might have heard about gram-positive bacteria. Is gram-positive bacteria a good bacteria or bad bacteria? Good bacteria or harmful bacteria? Varsha, can you tell me Varsha? Varsha, are you listening to me? Yes. Tell me. Gram-positive bacteria, is it a good bacteria or harmful bacteria? Yeah, good bacteria. And gram-negative bacteria is a harmful bacteria which causes harm. Yeah. So tell me, Varsha, you have heard about the gram staining technique, do you? Have you? Yeah. So which are the two stains used for gram staining technique in the procedure we use, or any of you all can answer. We use two stains for conducting the gram staining test in a laboratory. Two stains. Which are those stains we use? Yes, anyone can answer first. Yeah. So we use methylene blue. You mean to say? So, no, yeah, it's a crystal violet stain is used. Yeah, methylene blue, crystal violet stain is used, and we use also one more stain that is called as. Can anyone tell which is that one more stain which is used? Safranin, yeah, very good, very good. Safranin is the other stain. So how we compare this bacteria is gram-positive bacteria. When you stain it, it will appear blue color, whereas the red staining part we call it as gram-negative bacteria. So this way we identify the two good and harmful bacteria. So these are some of the techniques you might have heard. Can anyone tell me what do you mean by sterilization? For preservation of our milk and all, everything, water and all, to be free of microorganisms, we have to undergo this process. We have to follow this process. Yeah. Can you tell me? What do you mean by sterilization? Can any one of you tell me? Yes, if you are not answering, I have to call out your names. Okay. Yeah, that is sterilization. And have you heard about salting? To preservation of fruits and all, to get to protect from being contaminated, we use salting technique, that is called as salting. Similarly, dehydration, the drying of a milk at a certain temperature when there is no aqueous solution present, when the product is totally dry, there is there is no chance of more microorganisms get addicted to it, means being contaminated. So pasteurization, can anyone tell me who discovered pasteurization process technique? Louis Pasteur, very good. So Pasteur, at what temperature is it considered, or is it mandatory to boil the milk at a certain temperature, and then it is cooled down for 30 minutes? So the milk has to be boiled at a certain temperature. What is that temperature? The milk has to be boiled in the pasteurization process according to Louis Pasteur. Yeah, you are almost correct. It says 60 degrees Celsius. But 65 to between 65 to 75, it is considered as mandatory technique. Then refrigeration, you know already. So examples and role. So any doubts so far, or you want to share something or something which is not clear, you can ask before going to the next topic. Is everything fine and clear? See, in the unicellular I mentioned, it was the no nucleus, the predominant, actually it is not present according to the theory. So only it is called as, it shows the absence of that predominant nucleus. They say the predominant nucleus is present, but it can't be seen. So basically, we considered the unicellular organisms are without nucleus, because you can't actually make out that nucleus. Whereas in eukaryotes, you can see the total a well-defined nucleus. So these are the characteristics. So moving to the next, this thing is the examples and role of harmful and good bacteria. Yeah, this is Pseudomonas fluorescens can produce a proteolytic and lipolytic extracellular enzymes which are heat stable and capable of causing spoilage. They are heat stable and still they are capable of causing the spoilage of contamination. So what do you mean by proteolytic enzymes? Do any one of them have idea what do you mean by proteolytic enzymes? What do you mean by proteolytic enzymes? Proteolytic enzymes are nothing but the it is consist of the protein structure proteases, which helps in breaking the lactose present in the milk. So those are the proteolytic enzymes. Along with we have lipolytic enzymes, a triglyceric enzyme, which is also a lipase. Along with some different components, we are getting the lipolytic enzyme, which is a triglyceride. So these are heat stable and capable of causing the spoilage, and the Pseudomonas fluorescens is the microorganisms responsible for it. So some strains of Bacillus clostridium, Corynebacterium, Arthobacter, at least genus of these microorganisms you should remember. Micrococcus and Streptococcus can survive pasteurization and grow at refrigeration temperature, which can also cause the spoilage problems. So these bacteria are Clostridium, Corynebacterium, Arthropacter, Microbacterium, Micrococcus, and Streptococcus. So following the are the lactic acid bacteria. We in the production of it is used in dairy industries for the production of cheese, buttermilk, and other useful stuffs. So you might have heard about the Swiss cheese, do you? Which is available in the market, the imported Swiss cheese. Have you heard of it? Hello, are you all able to listen to me?
Yes,
Yeah. These are the microorganisms which you will see. Out of this, can you make out which are good bacteria and which are harmful? Out of this, can you make out which are good bacteria and which are harmful ones? Sahana is here. Can you tell me, Sahana? Sahana.
Sir,
Yeah.
first two, that is
Which is in colored white.
Streptococcus,
Yeah. These two
they are
bacteria are
harmful, sir.
harmful. Yeah. That means gram-negative bacteria.
Lactobacillus is used in conversion of milk to curd and all. So
Yeah,
that
yeah.
is
So,
useful.
this is useful. So in this process, what we do is to get a proper texture to the cheese, we use the strains of these gram-negative bacteria as well as gram-positive bacteria. So after mixing the texture, so texture, it is not harmful actually, but you are getting a proper texture to the cheese and other stuff. So Swiss cheese is like a good example. So these are the techniques used in the dairy industry. So these are the Streptococcus, the different species, Lactix, Cremoris. Then we have lactobacillus species like Lactis, Cassia, and Bulgaricus. So next is the coliform, which is the rod-shaped bacteria. So they grow under the optimum temperature like 37 degrees Celsius. They can cause rapid spoilage of milk because they are able to ferment lactose with the production of acid and gas. So the gas here released is the carbon dioxide, and the production of acid is nothing but the huge production of acid is nothing but the lactic acid, and these are able to degrade milk proteins and also release gas. So the bacteria which is responsible for this is E. coli bacteria. So the mostly because of this, it causing the sour taste in the milk. So this is because of the production of acid and gas. You will have that sour taste in the milk, or milk. The protein will be further degraded into the lower amount. So the E. coli bacteria is responsible for this. So you can see in the diagram, in the picture, the lactic acid you can see in the first diagram. Second, the it has become in the powder. That means after when you remove the lactic acid, if the milk is kept for longer time, for 2 to 3 days, so the lactic acid is the first thing that will form. So followed by, when the lactic acid is totally dissolved, it forms into a strong this thing solid substance, the like a milk powder it is, which is highly contaminated by microorganisms. So in the milk there are different, the souring in the milk, I have told you, the fermentation, lactic acid bacteria does it, and the pathogens are also responsible if it is present. Rancid, what do you understand by the meaning rancid? Can anyone tell me what do you mean by rancid? Actually, the rancid is nothing but the oil, the mixture in the milk. Still, it is the consumable at this stage. The milk will be having that oil kind of layer over it. The oil substances will be present. Some oils, fats, and other substances will be present. Still, if you with a proper precautionary conditions, if you after boiling at a certain temperature, you can still consume it. The curdling, that is the separation of curd and whey, may be still consumable. So the coagulation, a period of aromatic decay sets in accompanied by mold. Mold is which nothing but this is caused by a fungal coagulation. Means if the milk is along with the, as I've told, E. coli bacteria, which is also responsible the uh, responsible for creating that sour taste in the milk if it is present, which is a contamination along with the lactic acid along with the carbon dioxide gas. So this along when it is highly contaminated, the spores or fungal spores or molds can also take place, which will make totally contamination, which will make milk totally contaminated. So in the dry, the milk has dehydrated and become hard and chalky. The diagram I have told you, I have shown you this hard and chalky. So this is nothing but the dry condition. So can the activity, what is the difference between rancid and curdling? Can anyone tell me? I have told about rancid and what is curdling. So can anyone tell me what do you mean by rancid? Harshala is here. Harshala or Rakshita, you can tell me. Hello, can you all hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, tell me what is the difference between rancid and curdling?
Curdling means the separation of curd.
Yeah, what is the separation? The separation of whey.
Curded whey.
Yeah, and rancid means
And rancid is the formation of a oily like layer.
yeah. And coagulation is caused by, is it by bacteria or is it by fungi? Coagulation process.
Bacteria.
In the previous slide, I have told you coagulation is caused by the molds formation. Mold is nothing but which microorganism? Which microorganism? Is it which microorganism? It is fungi. Coagulation is caused by fungi.
Fungi.
So can you tell me the name of any two bacteria which can survive pasteurization and grow at refrigeration temperature, which can still cause spoilage problems?
Streptococcus.
Yeah, there are other bacteria. One more bacteria.
Bacillus. Clostridium.
Yeah, even we have Clostridium, Monococcus are some of the bacteria you can list down.
Microbacterium.
Yeah, very good. Microbacterium also. So all this souring and gasiness is also caused by Clostridium bacteria. Okay, E. coli is also sometimes responsible, but souring and gasiness is also caused by Clostridium bacteria. Then aroma production due to production of desirable flavor compounds. The proteolysis leading to unpleasant odor is caused by Pseudomonas, also Bacillus subtilis. Ropinus, long threads of the milk, if kept for longer time, appears is because of alkali genus Viscolactis. Ropinus is caused by this kind of bacteria called as alkali genus Viscolactis. I repeat, alkali genus Viscolactis is the name of the bacteria. At least if you can't remember the species, the genus name you should remember. Alkali genus. So that causes ropinus. Alkali genus is Ropinus is caused by alkali genus bacteria. The match the following for you. So Streptococcus lactis. It causes what? What is the role? The result. The Streptolactis causes what? You have to select the right answer. from the result column. Streptolectis, what it causes? Like it causes, is it responsible for proteolysis, Saring and gasinus? Yeah, tell me. Yes, someone is saying. Tell me.
Storing. That's one.
Yes, very good. Streptococcus lactis. Yeah, it causes storing. What about E. coli? This also I have told you.
Storing and gastric juices.
Yeah, E. coli it is the same. Storing and gasinus. True. Correct. Then Bacillus subtilis. What it causes?
Proteolysis.
Yeah, very good. And alkaligenous viscous is Ropinus. Yeah.
Propinus.
Yeah, very good. So these are the correct answers. Choose the correct alternative. Lactic acid bacteria. Is it ferment milk carbohydrates into lactic acid, or ferment lactic acid into carbon dioxide and protein? Ferment milk carbohydrates into renin. Ferment renin into lactic acid. Ferment curds into cottage cheese. What is the main important role of lactic acid bacteria in the milk? In the initial stage of the milk, if lactic acid bacteria is present, what is the most correct alternative can be chosen from this?
Ferments into lactic acid.
Directly it ferment into lactic acid. What is the first role? Milk consists one sugar. Now, can you tell me the name of that sugar present in the milk? This first option. Lactose.
Lactose.
So lactose is converted into lactic acid. First, it should degrade the protein present in the milk. It should convert lactose into lactic acid. Then is the next step which you are doing. So which is the correct alternative from here?
Milk ferments carbohydrates into lactic acid.
Yeah. Ferment milk carbohydrates into lactic acid. Very good. Correct answer. Because the milk has to degrade first, this lactose has to be converted into lactic acid, which is.
So your voice is breaking.
Okay. Now can you hear me?
There is some problem with the voice.
Okay. Now are you able to hear?
Voice break after that.
Okay, 1 second. Yes, now you all can listen.
No.
Still breaking.
No. Not able to hear you properly.
Okay. Now. What about others? Can you hear me? Or still the voice is breaking?
It's not clear. It is breaking.
Or maybe some network problem. Now, are you able to hear? Hello?
No, sir, still it is not clear.
Okay. Now, is it a problem for all? Are all unable to listen? Now you can listen, no? Now is it clear? Okay, we'll see. So the next topic is this thing, cheese and curdling. So this is caused by Pseudomonas fragilis. The slimy curd sometimes appears is caused by Pseudomonas fragilis if it is contaminated. So we have the ethyl alcohol production in labs and all. We use such bacteria. This is Micrococcus luteus. Then we have Micrococcus varians, Microbacterium lacticum. We have Lactobacillus for lactic acid. We have Lactobacillus casei, Lactobacillus plantarum, Lactobacillus brevis. So all these plays a major role, like Micrococcus luteus plays a major role in lactic acid, acetic acid, and ethyl alcohol. So these are the list of bacteria. For beverages and all, ethyl alcohol, ethanol, these bacteria are used. For fermentation, for distillation techniques, these bacteria are used. Can you all hear me now? Is it clear or still is it breaking? The voice is breaking. Okay. Can you answer me by reading this? Have you ever realized why it is necessary to crush any cane? Sorry. Yeah. Why is it necessary to crush a cane after use? Can anyone tell me? Yes, anyone? Kavya Sri? Why is it told that cane has to be crushed after use? Yeah. Is it no? Yeah, so that it is not reused, and also when if the why it is told like that is when the used can is kept like that only, there is a more production or accumulation of bacteria or other microorganism in it. So it means it carries the gassy fermentation. As I have told, it gives rise to a gas. Sometimes the swelling of cans also. Yeah, some background voices there. You can mute your audio, please. So the production of gas results in the swelling of cans and can also cause sometimes blowing of cans. This is due to the accumulation of bacteria or accumulation of microorganisms. So it's always mandatory to crush a can after the use, so that it should not be reused, because can be the accumulation of bacteria. So it gets the production of carbon dioxide is increased, and because of that the gassy fermentation can take place. So the bacteria which causes the food poisoning in a huge amount, it is the disease mentioned here is botulism, and the microorganism responsible is Clostridium botulinum. So this causes the food poisoning. So have you ever realized that the doctors prescribe B-complex tablets for every dose of antibiotics? Why is it so? Yes. Just 2 to 3 minutes more you can answer. Yes, Rakshita. Or someone can answer.
So usually B complex is given for
enrichment of iron content, as if I guess.
Yeah, the main reason for that is after antibiotics, what was your experience after taking the antibiotics, at least completing one dose? I hope everyone has taken it some day or another.
When we take
Yeah.
antibiotic, I think the acidity in the body increases.
Yeah, acidity increases is the one problem. Some other problem, after the course gets over, sometimes you don't feel dizziness, tiredness because of antibiotics. Never felt so, tiredness, dizziness kind of thing. Means you feel like getting weaker.
Wait.
Yeah. This is because the antibiotics, now different streptococcus, staphylococcus, different strains are used in manufacturing all these antibiotics. This is because antibiotics kill good organisms as well as bad organisms also, harmful. If suppose an antibiotic is prescribed, it will kill the good bacteria as well as harmful bacteria. So because of if the lactobacillus is also present, sometimes it may go, and because of that you may feel weaker and tiredness. All these problems will be there, so only it is necessary to take B complex tablets. So doctors prescribe B complex tablets like Bicocils and all after every dose of antibiotics, so that the production of the good bacteria inside your body also increases. Yes, this was the final thing. So far in today's class, we have discussed about the meaning of microbes, followed by the gram-negative bacteria, gram-positive bacteria, and we have discussed about the unicellular, multicellular organisms in the introduction itself. Yeah, if someone has asked the question, pasteurization can't kill the ropinus completely, but if you follow the pasteurization process properly, like after boiling milk for 65 to 75 degrees Celsius, you will have to cool down it for 30 minutes, and you have to consume it within a limited time. So if the milk is kept for more days and all, definitely the other outside bacteria will attack to it. It can still become contamination. And it depends on the different species of bacteria will give that a ropinus thread-like structure, and many things can be found because of the contaminations. There will be other unwanted bacteria also. Pasteurization will just protect. Just a precautionary measure. It won't kill. Still, after doing pasteurization, also there is a chance of ropinus if you kept for a very long time. That is usual. Yeah, so you will be having one home assignment. So you will have to formulate a brief report on bacteria in food and ethyl alcohol beverage production. I repeat, formulate a brief report on bacteria in food and ethyl alcohol beverage production. You will have to write a short note in a Word format, and you will have to mail me. My mail ID is ratas15best@gmail.com. You will have to mail me either by today evening or by tomorrow morning. This is the home assignment for you. Is it clear? Has everyone noted down? You can just take a screenshot.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. So any questions, doubts, clarification you need, or you want to share any of your thoughts, you can ask now or you can share. In today's class, we have discussed about the introduction to microbes, followed by the gram-positive as well as gram-negative bacteria. We have discussed the spoilage, how the role of bacteria, good bacteria, what role does good bacteria is having, and what role bad bacteria is having. So we have discussed few of its points in detail. So if you don't have any questions or doubts, we can wind up the class. See that you do your homework and submit to me on my mail ID in a Word format. Okay, then thank you everyone for your patient listening. Have a nice day. We shall wind up the class now.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.